Hi everybody, and welcome to my MasterClass with Dennis Woodruff. Tonight we're going to touch on the subject of editing. Every night I'm going to do a different subject related to the business. There's something that I need to educate you on. If you can't edit yourself, you need to be aware of these things when you're shooting and then putting it together. First of all, you can shoot out of sequence as long as you're good at what you do. You could technically shoot the end of the movie before you do the first part of the movie or the beginning or whatever you want to do. But make sure you have all of the scenes. And with editing too, you might go back after you piece it all together and lay it out. You might have to go back and add more scenes. Be critical of yourself. Don't think everything you do is genius. Be critical. Go back, look at it, get a second opinion. Always be ready to make it better. Yeah, I don't believe you need 50 takes to get it right. If you're a good actor or the people you hire, you should be able to get it in 3 takes. And you don't have to have a big rehearsal before. But getting back to editing, when you're shooting a film, like I usually shoot, I do a lot of close-ups if you notice. It's handheld like this. Always give the editor 10 or 15 seconds before the scene starts and then after. That way, the editor or you with the editor can cut into it and you're not right up to where you start talking. That becomes a real problem because if you're editing, you need space before you start cutting and after so that you can cut it together. You also need a couple takes. Even if you think you got it on the first take, do 2 or 3 total at least. And then you'll be happy. And that way, you and the editor will be able to choose the best of all 3 scenes. I usually get it right on the first or second take, but it always is good to have a 3rd take. Also, actors, unless you're supposed to in the scene, like right now, don't look into the camera, okay? A lot of times, you'll notice, I just saw a movie with Mark Wahlberg, and now he's throwing all these movies together, it seems, because his family is spending all his money on trailer parks and motorhome parks and buying dealerships and opening restaurants. Don't let your family sponge off you. Give them a certain amount of money, maybe 50, 100,000, and tell them, you're on your own. I'm not going to support you for the rest of your life in your little business ventures. Getting back to editing. Editing is a very, very important part of making a movie or TV show or cartoon. Because a good editor can make it or break it. Also, you need music. You need a little background music. That's up to you. Make sure you use music that has public domain. If you use some popular song, like something from Snoop Dogg or whatever, you're going to have issues, and they're going to try to charge you $3,000 royalties on one song, which you don't really need to know. You don't need to have. Like Keith Kurlander and I, we work together, and he makes all the music. If you notice in the credits, it's Idiot Savant. He's been making his own music for many years. We always use his music. Some of it doesn't even have any lyrics. It's just background. Also, don't crank up the sound or talk too loud. Tell your actors to keep it normal. You don't always have to have a handheld mic either. I've noticed people make a lot of mistakes when they're editing, and they want to turn up the sound, and they want to make it too intimidating. Keep it moderate, okay? on everything you do, kind of try to be a little subtle. And don't let your actors in the scene, you'll notice, overact or talk too loud and be, it's not normal. People in a scene in a movie should be talking like they normally would in real life in a conversation. I really don't mind improvisation, but it kind of screws up the editor. I don't believe that you need every word exactly, but you get your two actors for the scene or more in sync. And whatever they do, just go with the flow and tell them to just keep going. You don't have to worry about, as long as the scene is getting across. Every scene should have a little bit on an outline of what is going on in the scene, so that the actors or the people, when you're cutting it together, know what the subject matter of the storyline. It usually takes, I would say, about 40 to 50 scenes to make a feature, maybe more. It also takes you a couple months to piece it all together, but you might have to go back with editing, and like I have before, made a new ending or a new beginning or add some scenes. Be open to that. You don't have to be a total perfectionist with editing, but it helps to have somebody as an editor that helps you, that actually has experience. A lot of these kids get out of film school and they think they're a great editor, and they never really cut together a movie before, or their ego tells them that they can do this great job editing, and they might even change the coloring, or it creates a whole new fabric for the movie. Keep it natural. I like natural lighting too. Try to make it as natural as possible. That helps the editor too. But if it gets dark and grainy, then you've got a problem. Like right now, your actors and your scenery where you're shooting should be clear, not crystal clear, but clear enough that it looks like you're actually there. It should look real. Try to make everything look real. The acting, the editing. The editing is so important. I keep going back to this because it's actually an integral part of the movie making process, TV or cartoons. I can't tell you, it becomes instinct. The more movies you make, like I've made almost 30, you get better and better as you do. And I remember the first movie I made was terrible. I threw it in the trash. But Quentin Tarantino told me in a meeting, he said, don't worry about it, you'll learn from it, and then you can do better the next time. Try to learn from your mistakes. Like in life, we all make mistakes. It's normal. We're not robots. And editors make mistakes too. So you really can't just hand it over to the editor and say, here, do this. You should really take the time to sit down with your editor and go through scene by scene. You should also have, after, a master, which shows all the scenes. Nowadays, it's very complicated with the scene structure. If you put it all on a computer, scene by scene, you lay it out, and then you cut it piece by piece. The continuity is according to the story. You're telling the story from beginning to end. It has to start somewhere. It could even start before the person was born, or back history of the character or the storyline, and lead up to the place. It is not just you turn on the camera and somebody's getting murdered. There's a story before that of why this is happening. Remember that. And don't be tight on the scene. If there's some kind of violence or whatever, build up to it. You running down the street, and then all of a sudden the action happens. Say it's around a car. Don't just start right there with the stabbing or whatever. It could look dramatic, don't get me wrong, but it all depends on the whole storyline. Well, I'm talking my ear off, but I hope that you realize that I am a pro, and I know how to make movies, TV shows, and cartoons. And that's because for about 20 years I've been studying movies. Also, I would recommend watch 1,000 movies in the privacy of your own home, in your living room, and study the way the movies are made. I've noticed recently that some movies, the actors aren't like Wahlberg. He's not focused. He's drifting. He's not concentrating. He's just doing lines and he's kind of looking over here. You know, these people that just are cranking out these movies to make money, it's pretty obvious what they're doing. And their storyline, etc., etc., etc. You can copy another story and try to make it better. But like Spielberg, I love his movies, don't get me wrong. But why did he make West Side Story again? I mean, it was great the way it was. You can never top some of the old movies that they made way back when. People that used to make movies a long time ago when the studios first emerged and people started making their first films became wonderful pieces of work. And I don't know how these people learned because they had no one to learn from. They were just kind of like gifted. And there is a lot of that today, but not everybody has what it takes. Well, have a nice evening, and I'll see you in the movies.